Hey, how's it going, everybody? Today we're gonna pack a reptile shipping box. But before we get started, hit like, hit subscribe so you can see more reptile content from us on your recommended feed. Alright, so today we're going to build a box. I know this isn't the sexiest topic when you're dealing with reptiles, but I do think it's very important to pack your boxes correctly for your clients, for your animals, and for just a better experience in the reptile hobby. Your reptile boxes are going to come flat like this. You're going to have to build it. It's easy to build a box. And then there's different sizes of styrofoam. Depending on the time of the year, you're going to want to use different sizes of styrofoam. Right now it's cold, so we use a thicker styrofoam. When it gets warmer, we use a skinnier styrofoam. This is your box, okay? I don't know if you can see it very well on the camera or not, but this is what it's going to look like inside. As you can see, we have a packing material in here. This is polyfill. You can use polyfill, you can use newspaper. That's really up to your preference. I mainly use newspaper, but polyfill is still a good option. So now that we have our box, we have to take into account a couple things. What are the temperatures? When we're considering temperatures, there's 4 temperatures you really need to pay attention to, right? So we have your temperature, you have your customer's temperature, you have the temperature in the 2 FedEx facilities, assuming that you're shipping through FedEx. If you're shipping through UPS or USPS, you would have to go based on those. But for this video, I'm going to use FedEx as the example. When we take into account temperatures, we might think, oh, we just have to check the temperature of where it's going to our customer. But take into account that your animal is not going to go from you to your customer. It's going to go from you to one of the 2 FedEx sorting facilities and then to your customer. These days, it's been a little bit difficult shipping due to shorter staffing issues and things like that. So it's been really hard to judge where your packages are going to go as far as the sorting facilities. Just about a year or 2 ago, it would be very easy to judge whether your package was going to go to Memphis or Indy just based on the states that you were going to be at. Usually the states on the east travel through Memphis. Usually the states on the west travel through Indy. Now that there's staffing issues, it really just depends if Memphis is stacked with boxes or not. Also, I would like to mention that because of the staffing issues, the FedEx sorting facility in Indy has been very delayed. And what we've noticed is that most packages aren't there between 10 to noon, which is usual priority over night shipping, but it's actually getting there either later on in the day, 4 to 7, or the following morning, which can be a little bit scary as a customer and even as a shipper, but we got to take into account that as long as we pack the box very well, the animal will be safe. Alright, so we checked our temperatures, our customers' temperatures, Indy and Memphis, and everything adds up. Now, let's talk about packing this box. Let's say it's spring or summer and we're shipping to a hotter climate. Also, depending on the animal that you're shipping, you might have to include a cold pack. And depending if your animal is very sensitive to temperatures, depending on the species, like I said before, you might have to include a cryo pack. I'll explain more about cryo packs in just a second. Now, on the opposite spectrum, if we're in winter and it's pretty much freezing everywhere, we have to use heat packs. Heat packs are perfect for just about every reptile. We use these 40-hour ones, which do great, but if it's traveling through Indy and I can assume that there might be any kind of delay, I go ahead and I'll pack a 60-hour heat pack just so that way there's a little more heat to avoid any potential issues. And like we said before, if it's a temperature-sensitive animal, you can always go ahead and pack a cryo pack. I call them cryo packs, but what they really are phase-changing packs. So cryo pack, I believe, is just the brand of some of them, and then these are Adaptec. And they work great. What they're going to do is create a great ambient temperature for your animal. For example, this one that's a little bit hard right now was around this cold pack, and what it's doing is absorbing the cold so that way it doesn't get too cold in your box and keeps a great ambient temperature. And on the other spectrum, this one has been in the heat, and you can see that it's a little bit more like a jelly right now because it was around the heat. I didn't open a heat pack, but I left it in the snake room to absorb the heat, and what this is going to do is make sure again that your ambient temperature in your box is fine to avoid overheating. Even if the animal you're shipping is not very temperature sensitive or the weather conditions aren't extreme, that doesn't mean you don't or you do have to use a cryo pack. It's just a safer option, and you can still use one if everything adds up, just to make sure that the animal is going to be safe. The reason why a lot of people don't always put them in is because they are expensive, and we do have to take into account the cost of everything that's getting put into this box. This box with all of the materials can cost anywhere between $5 to $10. And if you're shipping one box, it doesn't matter, especially if you're charging what you pay for shipping. But for example, if you charge anywhere between $40 to $60 and you're either making or losing money, and then you have to include the price of this box, $5 to $10 with all the packing material, then you really start seeing that you might be losing out on the money that you made on the animal. But that depends on what your angle is in the hobby, industry, business, etc. Before we close up our box, I would really like to mention that shipping might seem scary if you're not familiar with it. And believe it or not, shipping is okay for your animals. A lot of these animals that come from other countries, they come in a big box, literally a big box. And they come here and they do fine. And if you have a reptile that you bought from another state, obviously you received it through a shipping box. There's other ways to keep your animal safe during shipping, like poking holes, but that also depends on the temperatures all around. And of course, making sure that your animal is well fed and hydrated. But other than that, you really have nothing to worry about. As long as you trust your animal's health, everything should go fine. Now, of course, there are instances where something was mishandled, though it's very rare. DOAs can happen, which means dead on arrival, but it's just important to be transparent with your customers. And as a customer, it's just important to understand that sometimes it's out of the shipper's control, and we can't control what happens when the animal leaves our location. We pack the animals well, we hope that they do good, we trust them, and we send them on their way to the customer in hopes that the customer takes care of the animal well and has a great experience all around. So that covers everything you need to know about the things that need to go in your box. Now we have to consider our animal. Depending on the size of the animal and what the animal is, you can use different size snake bags or different size deli cups with holes. And once you pack the animal well, just stick it in your box, pack it well with your packing paper or polyfill. Put the heating mechanism in the best location it can be. Be creative with it. If it's an animal like a Uromastyx, you can put the heat right at the bottom, put paper, and then the animal on top. If it's a sensitive animal like a leaf-tailed gecko or a New Caledonia gecko, you can put the heat pack on one of the sides and then a cryo pack right in front. If it's a ball python, you can just stick the heat on top. Just be creative with it. You can do different things, and vice versa with the cold mechanism. You can do whatever you need to do to make sure that the animal arrives safe. And then of course, you make your label. You can go direct with FedEx or UPS, but if you don't ship a lot of packages, it might be a little expensive. So luckily, we have great websites like Ship Your Reptile and Reptiles Express. And finally, close your box, tape it. I don't have any tape with me. And put your labels as they need to go. It's important to know that you obviously need the label of where it's going to be going, but also you can either print a label with the species, or you can write in the quantity, the common name, and the scientific name of your animal. So for example, if you're shipping one ball python, you're going to write 1-Python Regius-ball python, etc. And then if you're doing more animals, you're going to write in 2 whatever, etc. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you were able to get some value from this video. Hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok as Modern Reptile Shop, or head on over to our website. That's modernreptileshop.com. And if you're into podcasts and you want to listen to a new reptile podcast, you can find the Reptiles with podcast on every single streaming platform. That matters. But for now, we were Modern Reptile, and you were awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next one.